Thanks, Steve, and thanks also a lot to the role being played by ENISA, because ENISA is for us, the policy guys, the legal guys in my unit, the technical point of reference. So whenever something is happening, we see something in the news, like last week, TV5 Monde, we give one annoying phone call to ENISA asking them, what is actually going on? Can you explain to us what happened? And this is one of the ways we get also the very useful and available technical support from ENISA. I want to give you in 10 minutes a very quick overview of EU policies at the moment, where we stand, what are the major issues that are of interest to you. To identify myself, my name is Martin Mühleck. I work for DG Connect, so that's the DG in charge of the digital agenda. In particular, in my unit, the trust and security, we are in charge of the cybersecurity policies, but also responsible for e-online, e-privacy policies, and also research and innovation activities in that area. We report to two commissioners. One is Commissioner Oettinger, in charge of digital, and then the Vice President Commissioner Ansip as well. So that's also quite an interesting new constellation that we and the digital agenda and security in it have quite a high priority in the agenda for the Juncker Commission. My focus will be on cybersecurity. I know that there are other relevant initiatives, legislative and also policy initiatives, that deal with the financial services and have also security aspects to them, so be it mobile payments or also the most recent financial legislation. But I would focus on our cybersecurity strategy and try to be able to respond to your questions as far as I can on also the other issues where I'm not working on a day-to-day basis. So basically the foundation of our activity is the European Cybersecurity Strategy, which is kind of a overall policy document, a strategic document of all our activities we plan now and also in the near future. It was published in 2013 together with the NIS directive, about which I will be talking in a moment. And it gathers together all the items, policy activities, initiatives we would like to launch, be it legal in the form of the NIS directive, or stakeholder involvement in the form of the NIS platform, or also the activities to involve the industry, stakeholders for an industrial policy, and also to involve the consumers, the users, in form of, for example, awareness activities. In all the implementation of the strategy, once again, ENISA is a great support to us to implement that with their expertise and also with their contacts to all the relevant stakeholder groups. With that strategy, we want to come to a trust culture in Europe that is related, that involves and includes all stakeholders, be them public or private, from all the relevant and central sectors for the security of the digital economy, the digital European society, because more and more is being part of that, and especially to those critical sectors. And what we think that one of the critical sectors is the finances sector as well. In that strategy, very quickly, you can read it in more detail with the action points. One thing is one maybe interesting for those of you who are based in Brussels, we will have on the 28th of May a conference where we present the implementation process of that strategy and all the activities we are planning there. So I would really very much invite you to that event on the 28th of May here in Brussels. You can find information on our website, and we invite you also to be part of the discussions there. Coming now to maybe for you the most urgent and most interesting item that we have on our agenda, that's the Network and Information Security Directive that was published together with the strategy and is at the moment in trialogue with the Council and the European Parliament. I think in November I had a similar symposium like this one, and at this point I was asked when it would be adopted. I was optimistic then and said probably next 2 months. So if you ask me today, and I might be tempted to say the same thing, but you know, things might turn out differently than we expect. So it's still in trialogue, there's still a lot of discussion going on, and we are supporting the other two institutions in coming to an agreement. Very quickly about what the NIS directive is about. Basically, it's about 3 topics and 3 activities. One is capacities building among the member states, so they are well prepared in terms of prevention and also reaction to cyber incidents. The second part builds on that because it stipulates an obligation for the member states to cooperate among the member states, to cooperate between them, and to share, for example, information. The third part, which is maybe more interesting for you, is the reporting requirements for special sectors, among which banking and financial infrastructures, market infrastructures are mentioned. So those are requirements to report to the competent authorities any incident of any graver incidents in that sector as regards cybersecurity, for example, breaches, attacks, and so on. As I mentioned before, this has been in trialogue. You can see, if you want to have more information about the Council position and the European Parliament position, I would invite you to see the relevant documents of those 2 institutions. What I maybe also want you to see a little bit, to check, is how the member states, because we are talking here about a directive, are preparing themselves to implement this kind of legislation. And there are some cases of member states, I know the German example the best, of a proposal of the German Ministry of the Interior on cybersecurity that was published some weeks ago, where they stipulate how and in what form they would implement that in their country, in their national law. So that is quite interesting to see, for example, examples how, for example, the requirement to report in the financial sector should be dealt with in the German structures, for example, by using the BSI, the German Agency for Information Security. So I would invite you to also to follow very much the views of the different member states and also their views of how they will be implementing that. We, as the Commission, we are taking part in the current trialogue, and we will be giving advice also about any changes and suggestions of the member states, the Council and the European Parliament, as to how they want to change the provisions that we proposed and how they would like to deal with different sectors as well. So we will be always asked, we will be involved, and we give our advice to make sure that everything that's been proposed, and it will be in the final version of the directive, when it will be adopted, will be compliant to all legislation in the different sectors. And also then after the adoption, we will be monitoring very closely how the directive is being implemented in the member states. So this is a very short overview. I'm aware of my 10 minutes. Very quickly give you only another point that might be interesting of you is our engagement with the stakeholders, because we see that the directive alone will not solve all the issues, will not solve all our problems, but we need to be actively involved with the stakeholders. We need the advice of all the stakeholder groups, the public and the private ones, also from the financial sector, to see how best a directive regulation can be implemented, how it can be realized, and how we can create a culture of trust between the actors, so that we are not only well prepared, but we also quite well prepared to react to incidents that are happening. For that, we have created the NIS platform, so the platform for network and information security, which has 3 working groups, which are related to the directive and the strategy. So working group 1 is about risk management. The second one is about information exchange and also reporting. And the third one is about research and innovation, which deals more with the innovation and research support and the research agenda that we are following. It has been launched almost 2 years ago. First draft documents are available and can be seen. They are all being published on the ENISA website, which is handling the secretariat and supporting the NIS platform with very much resources. We have around 200 participants, mainly from the private sector. The banking sector has been involved there as well. So I would also, I'm now tempted to ask the same question as Steve. Have you heard about the NIS platform? So if you don't, please look at the results there, because the feedback that we as Commission get from this NIS platform will be very relevant on the questions on the future, how we are going to address the issues of implementing the NIS directive and also going beyond the NIS directive in the long term. So this is a very quick overview. I know I haven't mentioned all the points and I haven't talked too much about that, but that's the main overview of the issues that we are dealing with at the moment, our priorities at the moment, and our attempt to get the balance right between regulation, legal initiatives, and also the stakeholder involvement and the voluntary involvement of the different sectors that are that we see as the major sectors in terms of cybersecurity. So we want to have built a trust, also not only the trust within a sector, but also a trust basis between the sectors, for example, also between the private and the public sector in terms of cybersecurity, so that information can flow freely in efficient ways, and that the experiences endured by some of the actors are helpful to address future challenges or future attacks more efficiently than we have it today. So to finalize that, maybe my personal gut feeling is that with the directive, once it is adopted, we always say, oof, that's adopted. But 5 seconds later, we'll say, okay, what's going to happen afterwards? And for that, we also need very much the involvement of the stakeholders of all the sectors to tell us and to give us guidance of where you would see your priorities. And this is why attending this event is also important for me, because it will give me the possibility to see very much and in much more detail where you see your priorities. Thank you very much.